Hey everybody, it's Sharon here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in the end transmission update for Dead by Daylight, going for the Adept Singularity achievement. This one's going to be done from the killer's side. It is to get a merciless killer rating as the update's killer in the form of the Singularity, only using his 3 unique perks. You are obviously going to need to pick him up from the DLC pack or from the in-game store. Once you have him, you also need to make sure to get him up to a minimum of level 10 to open up 3 free perk slots. The perks you want to run and only run are going to be genetic limits. Then for the second, you're going to want forced hesitation. And then finally, for the third, you're going to want to run machine learning. Leave the fourth empty if you have that available to you, and you can do whatever you want for add-ons or offerings. Make sure you get into the game, and of course, your goal is to get that merciless killer rating. Of course, after a few updates ago, that has since changed to just requiring you to sacrifice or kill all 4 survivors. Disconnects and bleedouts are not going to count, so make sure you do keep that in mind. The main gimmick behind the Singularity is going to be his security cameras as well as his teleport. If you hold down left trigger to use his special attack, you're able to shoot these pods off, and basically the pods can stick to any vertical surface, which is going to turn them into a security camera. You can highlight a pod and then switch your view over to it, which is going to allow you to survey the area. If you pick up a survivor on the security camera, you can target them, and the camera should shoot out a pod onto them. If a survivor currently has a pod on them, if they get shot by another, whether that be from a security camera or your own left trigger attack, you are able to teleport to them. Now, keep in mind, you can't stick a survivor with your left trigger attack to get a pod attached to them. The first pod that attaches to them can only come from a security camera. But as soon as they have been stuck by a security camera, you are able to use your own left trigger attack to teleport to them. So best case scenario is you set up a camera, which is going to stick them, and then you're going to use your own shot to close the distance and then punish them accordingly. You can set up to 8 cameras at any one time, so make sure you spread them out if you want to do this a little more tactically. I am going to recommend that you save the cameras for chases, though. The reason for that is survivors are going to tend to put you in looping situations, and you can use the cameras as a nice pressure tool to either pressure them away from the loop, or if you can manage the spacing properly, you can use it to cut off the loop entirely and punish accordingly by just cutting the survivor off on their side. So moving on to the perks, the first one is going to be genetic limits. The way this is going to work is any survivor who is going to perform a healing action is going to get the exhausted status condition put on them. This is going to pretty much disable any of the oppressive survivor perks that you are going to run into. So don't feel too bad about spreading the damage around the best you can, because that is going to disable some of these more annoying perks as survivors are going to try to heal one another. The second one can be pretty useful, however, it is rather situational, which is going to be forced hesitation. The way this is going to work is whenever you down a survivor, any survivors who are going to be nearby are going to have the hindered status put on them, and that's basically just going to slow down their actions. It can be useful, but you are going to have your survivor encounters in groups for that one to really be taken advantage of. So again, very situational. And then finally, the third one is going to reward you for your generator pressure, so make sure you are kicking those generators whenever you can. Whenever you kick a generator with the perk activated, what's going to happen is that generator is going to be compromised. Whenever the survivors finish repairing a compromised generator, you are basically going to get the haste status condition put on you, which is going to give you a nice little small speed boost. The perk loadout in its totality isn't going to be super useful together, as most of the stuff is just going to either be background stuff or situational stuff. So try to stick to your Dead by Daylight fundamentals, of course, and take advantage of those security cameras to get survivors off of loops, and then punish accordingly if they camp too long in one particular safe spot. Make sure to be a little careful with pallets, though. If a survivor drops a pallet on you mid-teleport, you are still going to feel the effects of the pallet, as you're going to break the pallet, but you are going to get the hindered status condition. It's a little better than having the pallet stun you, though, so make sure you do keep that in mind. And of course, the best case scenario is to have the survivor drop the pallet first, and that way you could teleport through the pallet and then punish them on the other side. So make sure you try to keep those pods on the survivors as best as you can, because being able to close the distance in a chase is going to be super duper useful. So try to bait the survivors into looping you, and then you can punish accordingly. Just make sure you mind the spacing of the loop, and then find and pick your spots where you're going to teleport efficiently. You kind of want to be fast on the draw, even though there isn't going to be a ton of cooldown between switching from the shot to the camera. You are going to have to lock onto the survivor, quickly get that first pod on them, switch back, get the shot off to close the distance, and then make sure you do punish before they can get to the next loop. So make sure you just keep the pressure up, and then you should be able to be good for the run. And of course, however good a special ability or perk loadout may be, nothing is going to beat good old Dead by Daylight fundamentals, so just make sure you fall back onto those whenever you can, as that's going to help you out way more in this game than anything else could. So here we are trying to get our fourth and final sacrifice. Hopefully you can manage it. Do keep in mind the last survivor is always going to have the option of the hatch, which is going to present a challenge, so hopefully you could beat them to it and then eliminate them through the hook. And then once you manage that quad sacrifice in the game, you should be good for the achievement once you hit the result screen. There's our merciless killer rating, and then right after that, our achievement should unlock. There it is. This one's going to be for 20 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.